I'm just gonna put it right here. See?
Mike, don't you go dying on us, Mike. We're live now, guys. What's going on? I'm Paul Ryan, your host of the Across the Cowboys podcast. If you're new to the show, thank you for joining us. And to our regular listeners, welcome back. With me, as always, is my co-host, the sleepiest co-host in the world, Mike Pig Crum. Mike, how are you?
Just trying to not fall asleep in this one. Let's go. Stay awake.
Well, Mike, where can we find you on not Twitter, sir?
At CD Piglet, guys. Nice and easy.
And, of course, no show is complete without the best account manager in the world and the conductor of the Jake Ferguson hype train, Mr. Brenden Fergie Smith. Brenden, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm surprised we're all here and awake.
Yes, Brenden, where can we find you on not Twitter, sir?
You can find me at Brenden_Smith26.
I am Paul Ryan. You can find me on not Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. Well, guys, the NFL season has officially ended, and as sad as I am that there won't be any more football for a few months, it's hard to complain about the way the season ended. To no one's surprise, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs defeated Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers. Mahomes and Andy Reid joined elite company with their third Super Bowl victory. I'm excited to recap Super Bowl 58, and we all know that as important the game, commercials, and halftime show are to the big game, food is just a big part of the game as anything else. So tonight we'll be discussing what we had for the game. Let us know what you had for the game in the comments. Mike, what did you eat and drink for the game?
I had tri-tip chili. I made homemade cornbread. I turned mine into nachos. Some people
I saw that.
Yeah, some people made tater tots and they made chili cheese tots. Others just had a bowl of chili with some cornbread. So it was good. It was good chili. It was one of the better chilies I've ever made. It was really good.
Never had tri-tip chili, but chili is like the underrated food that you can serve at the Super Bowl, man.
Yes. Well, I wanted to use tri-tip to make nachos, and my brother was like, "Do chili with it," and I was like, "I could do that."
Shout out to Mitch coming in clutch with the suggestion there. What about you, Brenden? What'd you have?
To be completely honest, I didn't know the Super Bowl was starting that early, and so I was taking care of my grandparents' dog. So I had to bust my butt over to my friend's house. We just grabbed snacks, and so I had like a little bit of candy. And we just sit watching Super Bowl.
I got you. No, did you have any brews at least, or drink anything good?
No, honestly, not really. Because as soon as we were gonna leave, I'm like, I got class the next day, so I'm like, I'm not gonna have not a fun time on Monday. Which honestly, today should be a national holiday. Like being completely honest here, so we can.
It was today, wasn't it?
Was it? I had class today, so.
Lincoln's birthday. Y'all don't have Lincoln's birthday off?
Today's Lincoln's birthday?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we got it off here. Everybody here in Cali got it off.
Nope.
Yeah, my wife had to work. That's never been a thing here in Texas. I know that.
You damn Southerners hate Lincoln.
Mike, did you crack any coldies? Did you have any cocktails? I know you've been doing the Disney cocktail thing. I didn't see any pictures yesterday.
I did. I made a couple, but they were ones that I had done before that I wanted to try and redo. So I did a Scar, which is honey tequila, whiskey, lemon juice, and Coca-Cola. And I had one other one. I can't remember what I did, which one it was, though. Maybe the Emperor's New Groove Girl with the lemonade and the pink lemonade and the grapes and mint, I think was the other one.
Sounds tasty.
Yeah, the Scar is strong. It's heavy liquor flavored.
Yeah, I kept it pretty basic, man. Just pizza, wings, chips, and dips. And shout out to my mom. She grabbed me some Nutter Butters. I've watched every game with her this season. You know, she got a big TV, and she wanted to make sure that we watched all the Cowboys games together this year. So it was nice to be able to watch the Super Bowl with her as well. But I didn't get too crazy. I did try. I know, Mike, you're gonna hate this, but I did try the Pizza Hut's new hot honey pepperoni pizza. Kind of mid, if actually below mid. But I did get stuffed crust, so that saved it.
It honestly looks good in the commercial. I even commented to my brother. I was like, because I like hot honey on my pepperoni pizza. That's literally how I make it. And so I was like, damn, Pizza Hut might have snuck one in for me to try. But now that I heard it's below mid, which is kind of what I expect from Pizza Hut, I won't bother getting it unless they sponsor.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
I don't know what it is, man. It definitely did not taste like Mike's hot honey. It didn't taste like any hot honey that I've ever had before. So I'm not sure what it was, but the hot honey definitely killed the taste for sure.
Having cardboard as your pizza crust is typically not a good start.
That's fair.
That's facts. That's facts. Well, Mike, I imagine you've already answered this question, but what was the best thing you did eat yesterday? You did eat
the cornbread, which I took the cornbread and then I put a cast iron skillet in the oven while I heated it up, while the oven heated up. I took it out and I rubbed about a half a stick of butter around it to where it was like foaming and everything. And then I poured my honey cheddar cheese cornbread mix into the cast iron and put it in the oven. And so what happens is by the time the middle sets, the outside gets like a crust, like deep dish. And it was so good. Oh my God. And the chili was amazing, but the cornbread for me was unbelievable. I had over the last, since it was made, I think I've had 3 slices already of it.
I haven't had some good cornbread in a while, man. You're making me hungry, Mike. Shout out to Prescott here. He's got a question for you, Mike. It looks like you've got a picture behind you and a couple of people in front of the fighter jet.
Okay, that's the Millennium Falcon. Everything in my room's Disney. So you're looking at that picture right there. That is me and my mom in front of the Millennium Falcon in Star Wars Land's Galaxy Edge at Disneyland. It was the last time she was able to go and move around and everything like that. They had just barely opened back then. And every time I go with somebody, I make them take a picture with me in front of the Millennium Falcon. So I got, if I turn this thing around, there's a group here on the Millennium Falcon. If I push it over this way, there's somebody with me on the Millennium Falcon. So yeah, that is not a fighter jet. I'm not that cool. I'm a nerd.
Yeah, and not to feel left out, Brenden, Prescott's got a question for you, sir.
I'm just tired. It's been a long, long day, man.
Well, let's get through this, man. What was the best thing you ate yesterday, Brenden? You said you had candy and whatnot. Snacks.
Dude, have y'all had the Reese's candy bar? Have y'all had that?
The Take 5?
No, shoot. I totally forgot because at Walmart,
I've only outrageous.
No, but it's just there. It's super it's basically it's kind of half filled, but it's all peanut butter with a little shell of chocolate. It was pretty dang good while I was eating that. But I didn't do anything crazy. Dude, I'll find it and I'll show y'all later. But
anybody tried the Reese's caramel yet?
Yes, it's really good. Yeah, it's surprisingly good.
All right, I'm gonna try it out. I haven't gotten to it yet, so
I remember when I posted on Twitter the day I was trying it. You said you were going to try it. I'm surprised you hadn't tried it yet.
I don't think I've seen it yet. We get a lot of the ones that are filled, chips are in it, and Reese's Puffs are in it, and Reese's Pieces. Yeah. But I haven't seen the caramel one yet.
Yeah, the caramel one's good, man. I don't know. I think the Reese's Pieces is probably still the best one.
It's pretty bomb.
Reese's Puffs.
I like the potato chip one. I don't know why. I just like the potato chips in there.
Yeah, they're all pretty good, man. It's Reese's. It's hard to mess up. I talked about commercials earlier. Brenden, what was your favorite commercial?
Honestly, it's probably between two. But I did like the Dunkin' Donuts one. That did make me laugh. I'm not the biggest fan of Ben Affleck. I've been vocal about that, but him with Matt Damon, Tom Brady. I thought it was all pretty funny. And then J-Lo saying Tom can stay at the end. Of course, everybody chooses Brady.
Brenden, how about you? Mike, how about you?
My favorite was the Arnold Neba.
Oh, that
was such a good commercial. I grew up, Arnold was my guy growing up. So, her doing the get me out of the chopper and everything was pretty great.
Yeah, those are definitely my top 2. I was kind of underwhelmed by the commercials this year. I can't speak for you guys. I don't know what y'all thought.
Yeah, that's completely fair. None of them really caught my attention. I thought, like I said, the Ben Affleck one was kind of funny. I totally forgot about the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, and that's good.
It was so early. It was early on. I had a trouble finding. We were going to do 3, but I had trouble finding 3. I ended up the Christopher Walken impersonations.
Yes.
I love that one for
That was a really
BMW.
good one.
And
Yeah.
Uber Eats, where they forget. I don't remember all of them, but I just remember Rachel and Chandler, the Friends cast people, and she couldn't
Yeah.
remember who he was. That was pretty
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, I didn't remember a lot of them. But the Arnold State Farm was the one that I was like, when I watched it, I was like, that's a good commercial.
Am I crazy, or was there not a Doritos commercial? I always look forward to those.
There was, but it wasn't very good. It had Wednesday. Jenny Ortega was in it, and it was like her grandmother was like chasing after some dude that took the last bag of chips or whatever, and it was like Doramitos or something like that. Something. It wasn't it for me. I was just like, oh, Jenny Ortega's in this, but that's all I remember from the commercial.
I got you. Yeah, I don't remember seeing that, but it didn't sound like it was that great anyway. So let's talk some Super Bowl. Mike, I'm curious. Compared to the last 5 Super Bowls, man, where would you rank this game?
I'd probably put it third. Rams and Cincy's got to be ahead of it, and Eagles losing would go ahead of it. So those two. I didn't think the New England and the Rams one wasn't very good, and the Bucks. The Kansas City was just so decimated by injury on the offensive line that Tampa Bay just destroyed them. So neither of those were very good. Yeah. So I'd say third.
Brenden, how about you?
No, third's fair because the first half, honestly, I thought it was pretty boring. The defenses played great. I was thoroughly enjoying watching both defenses just fly around, pop the crap out of it. Fred Warner was terrifying. That man just gives me nightmares. But I'm going to be honest. My friend and I Cooper did not care really about the game at first. We were watching it on Nickelodeon to hear SpongeBob and Patrick talk.
Oh God, how was that broadcast?
Dude, honestly, not that bad. I was actually entertained. Some things you're like, you get annoyed. Like, it's for kids. It's for kids. Like, you just gotta calm down. But they'll bring some OG lines to make jokes and all that. I'm like, you know what? That wasn't that bad. But no, third's fair.
Sorry. Yeah, as far as ranking the Super Bowls, no, you're fine. I would say this is last year's beating the Eagles would be number 1, and then this would be number 2 for me. The last 5 have been, been a bit of a mixed bag, but yeah, these last 2 have been really good. I did get ahead of myself here, guys. One highlight of the Super Bowl was the halftime show. Mike, I know you're an Usher fan. Brenden, I know last week you said you don't know too many Usher songs. So where did his performance rank for you, Mike?
It didn't get in my top 5. It'd probably be somewhere in the 8 to 12 ranges. It was pretty good, not bad.
Yeah, it was good. I've seen a lot of people saying like maybe best of all time, and I thought that was
they didn't see Michael Jackson perform. Like
I don't remember seeing Michael Jackson perform, but I guess just because of more sentimental stuff, 50 Cent, Eminem, Dr. Dre, seeing that performance, that was
higher,
really good for me. That was definitely higher for me. And I also liked, I thought Justin Timberlake put on a good performance when he did the Super Bowl halftime show. Probably equal to what Usher did, but
I had MJ obviously is the GOAT performance. That was unbelievable. I have Bruno Mars ahead. Prince obviously ahead. Dr. Dre's, as you said, I have him ahead. And then I would say Madonna's was better. Madonna had a good performance. She's like the queen for me. Michael Jackson's the king. Madonna's the queen, and then Prince is the prince, obviously. So, and then it'd be somewhere in that next range with the Beyoncé's and Justin Timberlake, somewhere in that next group.
For sure. So, early on in the game, I know Brenden said you and your buddy weren't paying much attention, but things were looking a little strange for Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes on offense, man. They couldn't really get anything going. Mahomes was missing some throws. There was a fumble by Pacheco and then the interception by Mahomes, and they go down by 10 points. At any point, did you think Kansas City was out of it, might not win, Mike?
Not me. They Niners, when they were dominating the game, they didn't get far enough ahead to where I thought, oh yeah, they're gonna win. They stayed close enough in the first half, and then we'll talk about what happened in the third quarter coming up. But yeah, no, I never thought that Kansas City was out of it with Mahomes.
How about you, Brenden? Was at any point did you think maybe the Niners were going to have this one?
No, because you never bet against Mahomes. That deep ball, that Mecole Hardman just a fumble next week. If that was Dallas, if he like Dak threw a deep ball to Brandon Cooks and then Pollard fumbled, my heart would be in my stomach. Like I don't think I'd be able to like watch the screen for like a couple minutes just because I'm like I want to throw up. But their defense played phenomenal, and like I said, it's Mahomes. It's effing Mahomes. He's so it's absurd what that man does.
Yeah, the game wasn't that exciting in the first half, but it was a defensive battle, which is always nice to see from time to time. It's just not as high scoring as one would think. But yeah, I never once thought that Mahomes and company were out of it, but it was just strange to see them not clicking that early in the game.
Niners defense was doing a good job of playing more man, showing zone, but playing man. I think that was confusing Kansas City early. And with that receiving core, without, minus Kelce, they just don't have a lot there. So if Mahomes with that group doesn't see it and know it, he's not going to risk it. He's going to lean on his defense. And so, yeah, I think that's why they were slowed down pretty well in the first half.
Yeah, I got you. Did Kansas City win that game, or did San Francisco lose that game in your eyes, Brenden?
It's KC won it. Like I said, both defenses play well. Like if you just see the defense collapse down the stretch, dude, wasn't it 19-19 going into overtime? Or it was something close like that.
I think so. 19-19.
But
yeah.
You hold Mahomes in 4 quarters to 19 points. Your defense is playing out of its mind, and you can say the same for KC's defense doing that. They just played great ball, and you lost in overtime. They're saying they didn't know the rules. That's bull. They full on went over the rules right before overtime, and also how you're an NFL team. How do you not know the rules? That's kind of stupid. But no, KC just won it. They played that final drive looked effortless. I'm like, damn, they're just gonna score, aren't they?
A bit of a weird Super Bowl, and Matt brings up something. Man, it sucked to see the Drake Greenlaw injury. Man, I mean, he's jumping up and down. He just runs to the field and falls down, like kind of not a heartbreaking moment, but you got to feel for the guy just for that to happen in such a weird way. It's strange.
Yeah, he plays in between the lines on the field, and a lot of guys hate him for that because he's borderline dirty. He's a pretty dirty player, but I still don't want somebody you're in the Super Bowl. He's just steps wrong, dude. And it's not just that he didn't get in concussion protocol and he'll be like his season's over next year. Like torn Achilles in the Super Bowl, you're not coming back early enough as a linebacker, and then it's probably going to be another year after that of getting used to that you need your athleticism from that to grow back, not just to be able to play uninjured, but to be able to play confidently and break confidently and not hesitate and stuff. So he's probably like done playing football for a year and then done playing his level of football for at least 2 years.
Yeah, you hate to see it, man. You looking at this game, Mike, does Andy Reid or Patrick Mahomes deserve more credit for winning that game?
Defense, really. I mean, if we're breaking it down, the defense, the 49ers didn't allow a touchdown in regulation other than the muff punt. Other than that muff punt that gave them the ball right there inside the 15-yard line, and they scored the next play, their defense shut down, and that's the Andy Reid, Mahomes, that's their thing. If you make me pick which one had a more percentage of those two, Mahomes. Reid had an off night as a play caller. He was running too often on first downs. I didn't feel like he was putting the ball in the hands of his best player enough and in situations to help him versus that defense. It felt honestly very Dak-like. Like, hey, Mahomes will bail us out in the end. We'll run. It may end up being 3rd and 6 or more, but it's Mahomes. We have Mahomes. It'll be fine. It felt very Dak offense-like in big games, and that is not what you want, especially out of Andy Reid. Like, you don't expect that. So I'd give Mahomes more credit, but really their defense is really what it was.
Yeah, and Brenden, anything? Oh, sorry, Mike. Did anything to add to that, Mike or Brenden?
Spagnuolo does deserve it. He does. He's a mastermind. But it is Mahomes. Do you see that pocket break? That San Fran's front four was suffocating. Those tackles couldn't do jack squat other than hold to let Nick Bosa. Chase Young and Randy Gregory were doing things. It wasn't even Nick Bosa, even though he was getting the pressures and stuff. Like, Javon Hargrave probably had the best game of his career in the Super Bowl. But it's got to be Mahomes. He was running for his life half the time.
I know you guys think that the Chiefs probably deserves the most credit for winning that game, but how much blame does Kyle Shanahan deserve for the loss, Brenden?
You've had a double-digit lead in all of your Super Bowls, man. All three of them, and you lose. Like, that's good. They did try. Like, it looks like they tried scoring more, like trying to be like more aggressive, which they weren't. Like with in the Falcons game and all that. But like, I know it's a whole team thing, man. But like, it's choked. Of course, we say that Kyle Shanahan's a great coach, and he is. I would much rather just lose and not see my team choke in the Super Bowl time after time, because then you just lose faith. You can be a great offensive mind all you want, but I'm like, well, where's the hope? If McCarthy did that, we're like, oh, yeah, we're done. It doesn't matter. So,
Mike, what are your thoughts on that?
That third quarter, Shanahan did what Shanahan does, and he really I think he's the main reason they lost. They spent the whole first half wearing Kansas City down. Like, they held the ball, they ran on them. Yeah. They kept Mahomes and them from really doing much offensively. And then the third quarter comes and they get 3 and outs because he thinks to himself, like, okay, they're going to be keying stopping the run. Let me switch it up and pass it. No, make them show they could stop it first.
Yeah.
Like, it made no sense to me why he was putting the ball in. It reminded me of Seahawks when it's like, just hand the ball to Marshawn Lynch. Well, no, we want to show everybody our quarterback's that guy. And it's like, no, he's not that guy. Like, he has a great team. It's amazing because Hurts played extremely well in his Super Bowl against Kansas City, but I thought the same thing. I'm like, well, you take Hurts out and you put him on either of those Kansas City teams, they're going to be in trouble. You take Purdy out and put it on either of those last two Kansas City teams, they're going to be in trouble. But they both have such elite talent around them. Do what you do with that talent. What's working? Like, for the Niners, it was give the ball to Christian McCaffrey on first down, let him run 6 yards. And if you need him to go out and put Mitchell in, do that then. Until they show you, okay, we got to do something different. But it feels like he does it every time. That's how he blows the big leads. He always tries to, okay, this is what they're going to do. Let me try to get ahead of that. And it's like, no, sometimes you're just imposing your will. Do that. Yeah. Impose your will on them. And I think that really cost them the game because it gave Mahomes more shots at the defense. And eventually a guy that great's going to figure it out. Okay, I know what you're doing now. And then it gets to where you can't stop him. The last few drives in the fourth quarter, he just puts up points when he needs to.
Yeah, I mean, but, if San Francisco doesn't have that muff punt, do you think that San Francisco wins that game?
Possibly. I don't know, because I think there's more urgency in the offense and Patrick Mahomes if they're behind more. Like, that's another thing people said, like, well, the missed extra point. Now, like, the missed extra point could have saved them, because if they're down by 4, they're not going for a field goal to tie. And then if they get ahead, who knows what happens? You know what I mean? Right. You don't know if the Niners have to come back and score to tie the game. Can they do it back and forth? It's like, it's hard to say with someone that great that cost them. I'll give you an example for Dallas. Dez caught it game. Even if they call it, Dez catches it and we score a touchdown, there's a few minutes left and they have Aaron Rodgers. So it's just like, it's not a guarantee they'd win. I would say that's the biggest play, but it would be like saying, oh, Hurts is the reason Eagles lost the Super Bowl. Well, no, Hurts was the main reason they were in it. He just made one bonehead play. That was one fluke play that led to 7 points for Kansas City. But even without that, I would probably think Kansas City scores enough. They go for it more on fourth down instead of settling for field goals. they're more aggressive instead of like, we're still in it. We don't have to be, go too much for it. So, yeah, I still think they would have been fine. I think Kyle and that play were pretty even up as the most important reasons Kansas City was able to win.
Yeah. Well, sticking with Kansas City, you look at that team, there's not a lot of talented players. I mean, they've got a young quarterback, they've got the best quarterback, a generational quarterback, the best quarterback in the NFL. But when you see what Mahomes, win with this team, does that encourage or discourage you as a Cowboys fan, Brenden?
It's neither. Like, they have football Jesus. Like, that's like we're watching the most talented player we'll probably ever see, unless there's a new kid, that comes around somehow and just somehow better. We're seeing Andy Reid be the best offensive mind. So, man, a Hall of Fame coach, a Hall of Fame quarterback, a Hall of Fame tight end. Just like, okay, cool. Just get lucky with drafting and somehow find a phenomenal coach. That doesn't do anything. I'm like, they didn't get lucky, but damn, did they do well.
Yeah, the playoffs, man, Mahomes really showed who he was there in the playoffs. Mike, what about you? Are you encouraged or discouraged when, as a Cowboys fan?
It's funny. I had the same answer. Mine was neither. We don't have a Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. I mean, just plain and simple. So they don't correlate to what we do. So it was neither for me.
Are we an Andy Reid away from winning a Super Bowl, Brenden?
I don't know. I've never seen competent coaching in my lifetime. So honestly, it's kind of tough for me to tell. I would think so because like the talents here, Dak was the runner-up for MVP. So I think we could be, but I've never seen it. So honestly, I don't know. I've only seen other team success, never Dallas.
So even his first year without Kellen Moore, do you not think McCarthy's a competent coach?
Offensive mind-wise, yes, but as clock management or just, going way too conservative, like the same problems we had with Garrett. He's, like I said, every time, he's better than Garrett. I will never say anything otherwise. He's better than Garrett. But he still goes conservative, just like the same problems we had with Garrett. We're just playing not to lose. You had 9 All-Pros, and you're playing like that. I'd be shoving down their throat. I'm throwing it deep. I'm doing all this stuff I can. I don't care. It's the playoffs. I'm scoring as many points as possible to scare the team I have to play next week.
Mike, are we an Andy Reid away from winning a Super Bowl?
I don't. Maybe it is something to do with having leadership at the top. They have the talent. It's something to do with like, do I think Andy Reid is the type of guy that gets the team mentally ready to go? I don't, but I believe Patrick Mahomes is. I don't know if Dak is that guy for other. He is for him. But I don't know if he is great at getting his team. Well, obviously, we can say he's not elite at it because we've seen over the time, like we've had so many games where the team looks ill-prepared when they start out.
Yeah.
And if you had a coach or top leader position guy that was better at getting the team focused in to like for those games, I think you would be with the Andy Reid play calling. I think you would be a Super Bowl contender. But I think that's what we're missing is we don't have a consistently. Mike McCarthy's a good to great play caller, but I don't think he's elite. And when you play a team like San Francisco, you look at what they did to Reid and Mahomes. They did a really great job against them. It took them a long time to figure that out, but eventually the great coach quarterback figured it out. And then to have that guy that just makes you walk in with a little bit of swagger, like, show up. And I just can't imagine our team putting up 3 points until like 4 minutes to go in the half and it even being competitive anymore. Like we would get rolled.
It was crazy because I remember thinking to myself, like, they kept, kind of showing Mahomes on the sidelines, and not at one point did he ever look fazed by it, anything, even when he was down by 10, when the game was tied, when he had, X amount of time to go down the field, to tie the game. It's like he just never looked fazed, and I've never seen Dak with that look in his eye.
Yeah, no, I think because Mahomes done it so much, and he trusts his coach, He's done it with his coach. He's done it with Kelce. We haven't done it. We just haven't.
So I asked this question, and Brenden, I thought you asked a good question, for some clarification. But, if Dak was the quarterback of the Chiefs last night, Mike, would Dak have won that game?
No. I think mobility had a lot to do with why they won. And I just don't think he moves as well as Mahomes at this point. A lot of the big plays Mahomes made was with his legs. And Dak's done that all year, but I'm saying it Mahomes did it at a level against that defense that I don't think Dak has anymore at his age after his injuries and stuff. And so I don't think, he would have. It's Mahomes, man. It's like I feel like I'm insulting Dak, but it's just a level. Like there's not many that could have done those things in that situation.
That 4th and 1 scramble in overtime, man, to keep the drive going. That was quite the play there. Brenden, what about you? Do you think Dak would have won that game if he's the quarterback of the Chiefs?
I don't. For like I said, Mahomes is the best we've ever seen. They, other than Kelce, they have Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Rashee Rice, who played well for a rookie. He played really well. He led the team in touchdowns. That's awesome.
Solid player.
You have Mecole Hardman, who probably had the biggest play of the game, like I guess, receiving wise. I'm sorry, but like Dak isn't doing with that talent. He'd force feed Kelce to high hell, and then they would key in on it. And then even if it was like a game-winning drive, Dak going down, he would throw it to Kelce, and Fred Warner would probably end up picking it off. We're not talking bad about Dak, but Mahomes is just that guy. Like he's like, you take away Tyreek Hill, you're like, oh no, you lost their All-Pro receiver. They won back-to-back Super Bowls. If we trade away CeeDee Lamb, this offense is cooked.
I will say that if Dak was a quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, I think the Niners win that game.
But that goes back to talent. That goes back to the talent.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You put a quarterback like Dak around that talent with a defense holding Kansas City to 19 points in regulation, and Kyle Shanahan as a play caller, Kyle Shanahan had to really F it up for them to lose that game if Dak's their quarterback.
That's fair.
That's fair. All right, Mike, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one. Yours too, Brenden, of course. But knowing how Stephen Jones operates, how much does the Chiefs winning impact the Cowboys?
0.
Really? Okay.
No, because they're not going to do anything. Kansas, say what you will. When we got rid of Amari Cooper, we did nothing. James Washington does not count. Even if he played, that was their big move until T.Y. Hilton in week 13 or whatever it was. That it's not the same as going out and going, okay, well, let's try to get Scantling and Juju Smith-Schuster. And Juju Smith-Schuster is a professional wide receiver, played on winning teams, had 1,000 yards before. He is a solid wide receiver. And they went out and tried to do that. Stephen Jones don't even do that. So, dude, they were haggling with the defensive coordinator over stuff right now. All in, and you're worried about that. That doesn't even affect your cap. We have to get into the mindset that they're not really going to do anything.
Yeah.
They're not. And then if they sign a DJ Reader or a Buckner or really make a move, we can go oh, damn, they really make a move. But their big move they'll probably be signing a low-level free agent running back that'll be, because they're so cheap, it'll be a better name than we expect. Like an Eckler might get a couple million from them. But nothing's going to go over $5 million, which is why they won't end up lining one of the big guys. And they'll probably do a move finally getting Bobby Wagner. And they'll go, see, everybody wanted us to get Bobby Wagner, but it's probably a year or two too late. He'll be better. He'll be an improvement, but not enough to catch a team. Don't be surprised that the Niners go out and get 2 big-time players, because they got 2 years with Purdy's numbers are going to be nothing. Even with an extension, his numbers are going to be nothing the next 2 years. So don't be surprised if they go out and get a badass defensive end and a starting interior offensive lineman. And we're like, damn, dude, they're adding that. And we have the money to do it. When we extend Lamb and extend Dak, they'll have the money. They'll get Bobby Wagner and Devin Singletary and bring back Tyron Smith. And we're going all in, guys. Look at that. We did it. Like, that's what to expect.
So the way I was trying to phrase this question, I couldn't figure out a better way to do it. But, I think you said it perfectly, Mike. But really what I meant was like, seeing how this Chiefs roster is not loaded with talent, how they just beat San Francisco, you could see Stephen Jones like looking at the Chiefs being like, hey, we just draft well. We've got a good quarterback. Anything can happen. Like, it would influence him to feel like he doesn't have to do anything in free agency. Would you agree?
I would flip the other way. I would say that it would go you would look at Niners and go, we have more. We're closer to Purdy than Mahomes at quarterback. Yeah. As great as Dak is, Purdy was right behind him as far as all pro, this and that,
Yeah.
So if you mix our play caller with our quarterback and their play caller with their quarterback, we're pretty more similar in that range. And They couldn't beat Mahomes with no talent. So you better load up is what you would hope they would think.
Exactly.
But they're not going to. They're just going to be okay winning 10 games and making the playoffs.
Brenden, anything to add to either of those?
The big moves is like, dude, look, we're getting DeMarion Overshown back. Look, we're bringing in an all-pro corner. They're like, dude, who are we getting? Trayvon Diggs is back, baby. And like, first of all, I'm super pumped to have both those players back, healthy and starting on my roster. You already have them. They're already being paid they're already on your payroll. It's not doing anything. And then, but like the whole quarterback thing, seeing Mahomes, like, oh, we'll luck into that. Their last two quarterbacks is a 4th round pick and an undrafted free agent. That was our last two actual starting quarterbacks. They're like, oh, we'll luck into a Hall of Famer. I'm not saying either Dak or Hall of Famer. But like, we'll luck into that. It's fine. We're drafting gurus over here.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, here we are with Mike's views from the sidelines. And, man, another disappointing story over the weekend was Darren Woodson not getting into the Hall of Fame yet again. Michael, what are your thoughts on that? Why can't he get in the Hall of Fame?
I'm going to tell you what it is right now. When you think of the 95 Cowboys teams, you think Aikman, Emmett, Irvin, offensive line, Jimmy Johnson, then Deion Sanders. There's not even Charles Haley. Like, Charles Haley took forever to, like, he was a 5-time Super Bowl champ. Like, they're not thought of. It's not remembered that they were a number one defense and who was their greats on that defense. They aren't. Tony Tolbert, Russell Maryland, Leon Lett, Ken Norton Jr., Kevin Smith, Hamlin. Washington. Darren Woodson. They're just not thought of like that. It's the triplets, the O-line, Jimmy Johnson. And then Deion, because he won for San Francisco and he was so great and everything, he gets like he was the thing that put them over the top in 95. Yeah. But they don't, when you think of Tampa Bay, you think defense. Well, who gets in? Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, John Lynch. Well, Darren Woodson's better than John Lynch. He just is. He's a better safe. John Lynch, no problem with him being in a Hall of Fame. No problem. But Darren Woodson was better safety than he was. He was better at all of it. He could hit better. He can cover better. He was better in the run. He played the hybrid linebacker cover role first. He was better. In every way possible, you can be better as a safety. But he's not remembered as the reason they win. And so he probably won't get in until the veteran committee, who just added Steve McMichael, who's good. And I watched those 85 Bears, the 80s Bears team. My dad's favorite team was the Bears. I watched him when I was growing up. Steve McMichael, love him, good player, not really a Hall of Famer, just being real about it, just isn't. But he got in on veteran committee. Darren Woodson will get in on the veteran committee, if not before. They'll get him in. He was just too good not to be.
Yes, sir. We hate to see it, man. Okay, here we are with Brendan's Bashing Super Bowl edition. Brendan, what do you got for us, man?
We've already talked enough about Shanahan. I gotta go with the refs. They've missed so many blatant holding calls. There's some pass interference calls they missed. It wasn't blatant by any means, like talking about Saints, Rams, but it's Nick Bosa was getting held to high heaven, bro. Like Juwan Taylor false starts so many times. I'm like, Eric goes, "Oh shit, no, they didn't call it." And then I saw the whole muff punt. I thought Wisnowski was going to get not Wisnowski. Townsend was going to get called for not get called, but get a ruck in the punter call. They didn't call that. It was just all around. Like, they were fine for a decent bit, like random plays. Like, okay, here's a flag. No. Oh, that sucks. And it just keeps the game going.
They let them play for sure.
Yeah, would you prefer every game to be called like the Super Bowl, or called the way that it normally is?
The Super Bowl. I much rather see that, because then it's like, okay, game on line, what the hell? And you're just like scratching you're just like, why are we here? Makes me think of the Raiders Thanksgiving game, where it was just the ref show.
Oh God, yeah. Mike, what about you? What would your preference be? Super Bowl calls or the way it's called now?
It's funny because the Super Bowl, the defense was so good in that game, because in regular season, they're not really calling anything because they don't want the defense. They want offense, They want eyes on it. Eyes are already on the Super Bowl, so just kind of let it go, I hate the way it's called in the regular season, because I feel like they don't call they're too sporadic. They're like Micah Parsons never gets a call. Like, they don't, it's always, everything's always against the defense. Like, I like the idea of, okay, if you're not going to call holds, then don't call a lot of pass interference. Like, let the DBs have their say too. Let them play with some contact. If you're going to allow holds and false starts by the offensive line now, which they're not false starts anymore by the rules, but I'd rather have it like Super Bowl, I guess, because I'd rather allow the contact from the DBs.
All right, we're going to go true or false, and I don't know. I kind of hate that I asked this question now, but I'll go ahead and ask it anyway. Mike, true or false? The Cowboys won't win a Super Bowl as long as Patrick Mahomes is playing.
False. I don't think it has to do with Mahomes. I think it's about Dallas, not about Kansas City. I think if they're playing at their best, they can play up with Kansas City.
All right, what odds would you give Dak versus Mahomes in the Super Bowl? What odds would you give Dak to win that game?
Would it have been this year we're both in the Super Bowl?
Let's just say the Chiefs with Tyreek Hill and the Cowboys with this squad.
Can't remember. Did we beat them the one game where Tyreek Hill scored right before half on that weird play? Didn't we beat them?
Yeah, we did. 2017, yeah, we did. We won that game. We won that.
That was Alex Smith. That was with Alex Smith, though.
Oh, that was pre Patrick Mahomes. Okay. Mm-hmm. Probably 75-25. I would say KC would be pretty high.
All right, Brenden, what, true or false? And then what odds would you give Dak to beat Mahomes in the Super Bowl?
It's false, because Mahomes is terrifying. Like, it's like what Mike said. That's not the reason why I'm scared about this team at all.
Yeah.
They can play with any given Sunday and all that. They can. It's just when they decide to or not. And when they decide to actually game plan and adjust, which is another reason why I don't trust McCarthy, because he doesn't adjust. We have a script. Yeah. We're going on it. Oh, no, the only time they go off script is just to run the ball. So, no, it'll be Dallas getting in their own way if they don't make the Super Bowl.
That's fair. Yeah, I actually answered true on this. As much as I love Dak, I just don't know if Dak and McCarthy, or Dak with whatever coach they might bring in, would be enough to beat Andy Reid and Mahomes. Especially, I had a lot of stats looking this up. I mean, there's been, since 2001, the start of Brady's career, only 11 quarterbacks have made it to the Super Bowl, and Brady Mahomes won multiple Super Bowls. Ben Roethlisberger, Eli Manning won multiple Super Bowls. So not only is it just hard to win a Super Bowl, but it's hard enough to get there. I mean, only 11 total quarterbacks have been there in over 20 years. So, yeah, I think we're about to see Mahomes just go on one of the even a nastier streak than we saw Brady do.
Very.
But one word: the 49ers' decision to receive the ball first in overtime was what, Brenden?
I just said it was right. Like,
yeah.
Even if you don't know the rules, you go score a touchdown, and guess what? The game's, like, in their eyes, the game's over. But even with the rules, you score a touchdown. Guess what? The best thing they can do is score a touchdown, or if they want to win it, they go ballsy, score a touchdown, go for a 2-point conversion. Like, that's the only way the game ends. So you score, you win, but you put all the pressure. Of course, there's pressure for you to go down and score, but you put all the pressure on KC. Like that's like what you gotta do. Of course, it's Mahomes, and he dog walked, but
Would you go for two? Would you go for a 2-point conversion?
Am I saying with Mahomes, or am I just watching like
No,
Dallas?
if you're Brock, with Brock Purdy and Shanahan.
Oh, that's such a tough. It would have to be a run play with McCaffrey. I wouldn't. I just hope like we score a touchdown. Defense, please do something. Or guess what? We'll have another drive because if Case like San Fran scores a touchdown, KC scores a touchdown, the next score wins. So it means San Fran's in the driver's seat to score.
Yeah. All right, Mike. The 49ers' decision to receive the ball first in overtime was what?
Misguided. And I'll explain my reasoning this way. If Kansas City scored the touchdown first, do the 49ers settle for a field goal or do they go for it?
Did you say 49ers?
Did I? 49ers?
49ers.
Maybe I just dislike them that much that they're the 49ers. Boston, 40. But yeah, if you look at it, you want your guy to have the most information last. So when you get the ball first, they would have never kicked the field goal if they knew Kansas City was scoring a touchdown, but they didn't know because they took the ball first, knowing that no matter what, he was going to get the ball. So you're basically giving away the knowledge on if you should go for it on fourth down or not. If Kansas City comes down and scores a touchdown to start, then we can't settle for a field goal. It's 4 downs all the way. If Kansas City comes down and gets a field goal, okay, fourth down, we can kick a field goal. We can try to win it. If it's fourth down in our territory, we're going for it because we have to score a field goal. I want the knowledge going on my drive. I want all the possible knowledge I can have for my best shot of winning the game. And they never kick the field goal. If they take the ball first, second, they never kick the field goal because they would have seen Kansas City score the touchdown. Then they come back. But because they had it first, they're like, okay, we're here. We got to get our points. Kansas City comes down and scores sober because Kansas City knows everything's 4 downs until we get down there to the field goal range. Then they get into field goal range, and it's like, okay, we got the field goal to tie. Let's go for the win because they have the knowledge. So for me, I'm kicking the ball, and I want my second drive to be with the most knowledge possible of what I need to do with a chance to win or extend the game.
Am I wrong to say that when in overtime when San Francisco was down there at the 5, that when they elected to go for the field goal, you were wondering why they weren't going for the touchdown?
No, I knew in that situation why, because if you don't get it, you have Patrick Mahomes and the best field goal kicker in the league. No offense to Aubrey. Butker's done it longer and he's won Super Bowls and everything. So basically you get anywhere around the 30 to the 40-yard line and it's over because he's just going to boom through a 55-yard kick. So I understood them getting the field goal. My problem was if they would have kicked it first, they would have known what Kansas City was getting, and then you have that knowledge on offense as you drive. We need 3 points. We need 7 points. If they score, they can go for 2 to try to win it. It's like, look, Mahomes got us now. Here we go. This is our shot. Even if they score, we're going to come down and score. We're going to go for 2. That way we don't have to deal with Mahomes. It's on us this one play. They get to make those decisions, but they didn't have the information.
Brenden, were you thinking that maybe they should have gone for it there on fourth down, or did you feel that kicking the field goal was the right move?
I was terrified of Mahomes either way, but I'm like, you can't mess up the kick there.
Yeah.
Queefdom. The 40.
Yeah. I think in the moment I was saying it was probably smart to go for the field goal as well. But initially, no. Just to answer the one-word question, my answer was smart. You have to put pressure on KC, and one would think that the Niners coaching staff would know the rules to overtime and the Super Bowl of all games to know the rules. But I thought that was smart, man. Just because again, putting pressure on Mahomes, I know he'd shown you that pressure doesn't really get to him, but you still got to try.
Give me the info, man. I want the info.
I hear you. All right, well, here we are with top 5 favorite books tonight, and shout out to our guy Prescott for the for the category, we've been meaning to do this one for a couple of weeks. This should be an interesting one. I know Mikey made a joke about Brenden maybe only having a top 3 list of all the books he's read in his life. So, Brenden, we'll start off with you. Brenden, what's your number 5 book?
I went more series than books for some of them because I couldn't really choose. Yeah. But I went from these first 2 are my straight childhood. I went Diary of the Wimpy Kid. I loved that entire series as a kid. Because my parents were always like, "Hey, like for like an hour before you go to bed, like you need to read." I'm like, "This is stupid." And then my mom got me the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series. I'm like, you know what? This really isn't bad. And like elementary school, it was pretty great.
They have a series of movies of those 2, or is it just that one movie?
I have no idea. Wait, no. Oh wait, no. I know for at least they have 2 because I know like the second one they have another person who plays like the older brother, and everybody was pissed off that it wasn't like the original actor. I remember that.
I got you. And what is it? What is it about? I've never read the books or seen a movie.
So, I haven't read these books in effing years, but it's basically just about a kid going through his life, and so it's all like what he thinks will happen, like going through his mind and going with his actual life. Where it's just like him making jokes about it.
I got you. All right, Mike, what's number 5 on your list?
Number 5 on my list is a book called Verity. It's by Colleen Hoover, and it's really, really good. It's one of the newer books that I've read that made it. And it's about a author of a very famous series gets in a car accident and is like bedridden, like paraplegic. She can't finish her series of books. So they bring in a ghostwriter to help finish, and she's brought in to go over the notes through her place and everything. And she stays there with the old author who's bedridden, their son, and her husband. And the husband and her kind of like each other, you know, and it just a bunch of stuff goes down from there. And it's like a really, really crazy ass book. It's pretty awesome. I recommend it to anybody that I know it's really huge. Like it made #1 bestseller. A bunch of people have read it. There's supposed to be possibly a movie coming out based on it. So it's not like some under the radar, you never heard of this book thing. It's very popular. But if you haven't, Verity is a very good read.
Verity, okay, I'll have to check that out. It sounds like a good book. Number 5 on my list, I don't know if either one of you have read this one. It's called The Book Thief. There's a great movie about it. It's about as close to the movie's about as close to the book as any movie I've seen based on a book with Adrian Brody. But yeah, when I first started getting into reading, I was reading a lot of books, and for some reason this one just kind of had a hold on me. Loved reading it. It'll get you emotional. The movie's even better. But The Book Thief's a fantastic book. It's an easy book to read. It's an enjoyable book to read. I'd recommend it if somebody who is looking for something to read, something easy to read. It's an easy book to read, and it's a really good book at the same time. Have you read that one, Mike?
Yes, sir.
All right. Number 5 on Prescott's list is Sphere by Michael Crichton.
Oh, good book. Much better book than even the movie. Really good book.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it does. Number 4.
I believe the movie had Dustin Hoffman and it had a bunch of people in it, but it's like a horror book. Crichton, sci-fi horror. That's what he does.
Okay. Number 4 on Prescott's list is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis and all the accompanying books in that series.
Yes, I have the book for that series. I'm not joking. Is like enormously like a textbook. It's huge. It's enormous. I have it in my set of stuff in there. Yeah, that's a good. Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is my favorite of that series as well, Prescott.
Yeah. Number 4 on my list is Armada, written by the author who wrote Ready Player One. Might even be a better book than Ready Player One. If you haven't read that, I'd highly suggest that author is really, really good. Mike, what's number 4 on your list?
Number 4 on my list is the Villain series by Serena Valentino, I believe it is. It kind of takes each book. There's now 11 of them, or the 11th one's coming out, and it takes a Disney villain and kind of shows how they were not terrible people, but then were corrupted by these people called the Odd Sisters, and how they became villains. So like Ursula, the evil queen, the stepmother from Cinderella, Hades, like each of them, it shows how you take a regular decent person and put them in the wrong circumstances and they could be corrupted to become these evil villain characters.
Interesting. All right, Brenden, number 4 on your list.
See, I started off this with childhood, so I went the whole Percy Jackson series. That was like my first ever like big series to read. And my imagination, because I read these mostly like a child. Dude, my imagination went wild, like with reading all this stuff. I was thoroughly enjoying like all like the random jokes for the kids. I completely forgot when they came out, so I don't know if it's more like millennial jokes or whatever. But like, it was just funny. It's funny to see. And the fights in the book were honestly really good as well.
It's been a minute they've been out now, because they came out right around when I started reading Harry Potter, I think. I read those after I finished Harry Potter. I read the Percy Jacksons. Rick Riordan's really good. Have you watched the Disney Plus series?
No, I have not.
It's good. You should watch it. It's basically based off, the whole first season is based off the first book. The first book. And then I think Sea of Monsters is supposed to be the second season.
I remember I started reading it. We had like free reading time in elementary school, and so we had like this whole like, little like bookshelf. It's very small, but it had like some books there. And I saw them, like I heard my brother talking about it, and I started reading. I'm like, damn.
I was like late 20s, early 30s.
we get it. You're old, and I'm a child.
It's just funny that their books really made for more that age, but I read young adult and regular novels. I have all kinds of Star Wars. I don't have them up here anymore. They're in the house because I had too much room. But yeah, Rick Riordan's a good author.
No, they were great.
There are no age limits in reading, my friend.
That's fair.
All right, number 3 on your list, Brenden.
So I kind of like went up in like this like immediately growing up. That's kind of like how I did the list. So when I was middle, like teenager wise, I didn't really care about readings. I read biographies a lot about like athletes, but I love the Walter Payton autobiography, dude. It was because like of course like we hear about how great he was. His nickname Sweetness, but he sadly passed away way too soon. So I never got to really like even hear about him that much. And before I even saw like like A Football Life, it was just such a good book, and this goes to show like how great of a human being he was as while dominating on the field. And it shows like him talking to his son right before he passed and all that. It's just like it was a phenomenal story, and it was just really great to see how awesome of a human being he really was.
As far as the nickname goes, did he get that for just being the type of person he is off the field, or was it something he did on the field? Do you remember that?
Oh, dude! Oh, it was so early on.
I've read that. It's called Sweetness. Great book. It's the mix of him. He was like, he was sweetness on the field, the way he could play, but Sweet also feet, right? He was just such a good human being. So that's Sweetness.
I got you. All right, Mike, number 3 on your list, sir.
The Hunger Games set of books.
Oh, so good, bro.
Great, and much more violent than the PG-13. I like the movies. Not crapping on the movies. The movies were fine. Yeah. But the violence level in the books is just so much better for a like the thought process of those books. It works better when they're violent because of what they are. And
the books are so hard to put down, bro.
Say that again, Paul.
The books are so hard to put down once you start reading.
My little brother is not a reader, and he read that series of books in like weeks. This is somebody who does not read like that. He got started on them and couldn't put them down.
Yeah, those were the books that got me to start reading again. Was that series of books? So, yeah, I can see how Mitchell would read those so fast. Number 3 on my list, man. Probably one of the books that I read that I thought the book was better than the movie. Ready Player One. I love the movie, but the book is fantastic. And again, it's such an easy read, an enjoyable read, and another one that's hard to put down. Me and my wife actually read that together. It was really fun.
And it's more the movie they kind of made it Spielberg,
Yeah.
Zemeckis Spielberg type, where in the book it had even more range of things in there. It wasn't more directed at just Spielberg type stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I really like the way they did the book more so than they did the movie. But both are incredible nonetheless. Number 2 on this list is kind of like I don't know if you want to call it a self-help book, whatever you want to call it. It's called The 4 Reasons. I didn't write down the author. I thought I did, but it kind of helps you change your mindset. And it's a really good book. It honestly changed my life. I'd suggest anybody read it. It's a fantastic book, really helpful book if you're going through some things or you're trying to better yourself. I'd highly recommend it. Again, it's called The 4 Reasons.
The 4 Reasons. All right.
Yeah. Mike, number 2 on your list, sir.
Number 2 on my list, the Odd Thomas books. I don't know if anybody's heard of them. That's Dean Koontz.
Okay.
He is a detective that sees ghosts. He hangs out a lot of the time with the ghost of Elvis, which is really funny. If you get a chance, even if you don't want to watch the books, I bet you this. There's a movie with the Anton Yelchin who passed away, but they did such a good job of representing that first book in the movie. Watch that, and if that movie interests you, grab the series of books. It's really good. Each book is a different detective mystery he has to figure out. He talks to ghosts. It's really funny. It's really well written. It's one of my favorite series of all time.
Odd Thomas. Okay, I'll have to check that out. I feel like I've heard something else about that. Is that you said that there's a movie?
Yes, watch the movie's excellent. It has Anton Yelchin's the kid who died. He was in Star Trek. I think he played Scotty. You'd know him if you saw him. You'd be like,
I know who you're talking about. I know.
Yeah, he's similar looking to Brenden actually. The old white kind of orangey look.
All right, Cheeto, number 2 on your list.
Party Niners.
Mike's either tired or drunk, man, with these podcast episodes.
No alcohol today.
I know. That's why I said tired or drunk. So my last 2 it's all about lore. Mike and I have talked about stuff like this so much. But I went for my number 2, Revenge of the Sith novelization. Because this goes into such detail about things. It goes like what Dooku thought was going to happen before Anakin kills him. And it just goes into like thought process of the people that you don't really hear from at all. And it's just it's so good. But also I just love Star Wars too much.
So I accidentally skipped a couple on Prescott's list, so let's get him caught up here. Number 3 on his list was number 3, A Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius by Dave Eggers. I don't know if either one of y'all have heard of that author or heard of that book.
Mm-mm.
And number 2 on his list was Speaker of the Dead by Orson Scott Card. And
I read that one.
Number 1 on Prescott's list is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
No, I don't know Prescott's last 3. I will look into him though, Prescott.
He's got to explain them.
Yeah. All right, Brenden, number 1 on your list, sir.
This is Mike and I were getting a pretty heated debate about Halo a little bit. You got to read The Fall of Reach.
Okay.
My friend Kevin has that.
So basically, Reach is like one of the first planets that humans lose. But it goes into detail of how Chief grew up in the Spartan program. We don't hear anything about Chief at all throughout the Halo games. Really, it's more of he's a 7-foot tall beast that murders everything in his path. That's what he is. But you find out what the training he went through and how Spartans were made in general. Basically, it's like the start of the war. And it's so good. It's so good.
You should watch the excellent show about that on Paramount because it goes into detail about stuff like that.
No, never.
I just saw that they might not be bringing that back for a second season. I don't know if I'm mistaken.
No, it just started. The second season just started.
Oh, okay.
I watched the first 2 episodes a couple days ago. It was cool. I'm not into the lore as much as him. I only played the games, but I've liked the show so far. Yeah,
mean, I guess I got that confused because I saw there was a show, I guess it was on Paramount, that they said they weren't bringing back for a second season and people were upset about it. But, clearly I got something else confused there. All right, Mike, number 1 on your list.
Number 1 on my list, the Harry Potter books. Fantastic movies, great books. I even have the Curse of the Cursed Child, the one that they made a play out of. I have even the trunk, the set inside the trunk that you open the trunk and the books are in there. Fun fact, Brenden, towards your Revenge of the Sith, I have every Star Wars canonized novel of adult books, not the young adult. There's too many of those, but the adult books in the Star Wars Skywalker timeline and in the High Republic timeline. I have every one of them. Revenge of the Sith's a good call. That's one of their best books.
Dude, the lore is just, it's so perfect.
It is.
All right, number 1 on my list. I touched on it earlier. The Hunger Games series. It's probably my favorite series of books. The books that got me back into reading.
Nice.
Have you read those?
Number 1.
I did not, because like when those books are like were really like that and Harry Potter were like truly popular, I was just reading autobiographies. I'm such a nerd for sports and I love it, and so I was every time we go to the library, it's like, oh, everybody gets their books. Like you see huge ass books and you just see me with an autobiography. I'm like, yeah, I'll be done in like a couple days.
Harry Potter is so well done in the movies that I don't even tell people. I'm like, you can watch the movies, it's fine. You could read the books because the books are unbelievable, but the movies are that good. Hunger Games, you should watch. You should read the books. It's that the movies are good, very good movies, but the books are how that should be consumed.
Is there a 4th book? With the newest movie?
Oh yeah. Yeah, Ballad of Songs and Snakes. Yeah, better book than movie again.
I never got to read that one, so I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's good. It's not as good as the Hunger Games books, but it is worth reading. It's Snow's origin. It's Snow, how Snow became Snow, like kind of.
I got you. Well, gentlemen, this is a good episode, man. I enjoyed it. This top 5 actually turned out to be a little bit more fun than I anticipated.
I love books, and I stayed awake the whole.
Mike, you are done with the episode, I can see. Before you fall asleep, where can we find you on Not Twitter, Mike?
Letter C, letter D, Piglet, nice and easy.
Brenden, where can we find you on Not Twitter, sir?
At Brenden_Smith 26.
Before we get out of here, Prescott, thank you so much for the support on the show as always and all the comments, man, showing love. And most importantly, thank you for tonight's top 5 category. Guys, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on Not Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. We appreciate you joining us, and we will see you guys next week.